Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar session, What's New in Work Packaging? Today, we're going to be presenting an overview of comprehensive work packaging, 3D modeling, and status visualization in one platform. So the agenda for today is really going to get started with a brief safety moment. Then we're going to introduce you to our speaker, Josh Gervin. And then we'll share with you some exciting news about our true work package management platform that you might have seen recently in the news. At that time, we'll pause to take a look at the current market for advanced work packaging and discuss what some companies are doing today to support work packaging versus some new processes and methods that we believe you should know a little bit more about. Our webinar will provide an overview of what O3 calls our Plan, Do, Check, Act method. And we're excited to share that with you. You're going to learn a little bit more about that with Josh as he provides details a bit later. Then we'll wrap up today's session with some key takeaways for you. Be sure to pay attention to that must-have checklist that you'll get as a benefit of being part of today's event. Finally, we're going to wrap up with a brief question and answer session after the presentation, which we're going to host live via our chat feature on our website, www.o3.solutions. And take note, there is no .com there. Just some housekeeping notes. For every registered attendee, you will receive a copy of today's presentation slides and a link to the recording via email within the next 2 business days. We also will post today's webinar recording on our website, along with any previously recorded events that you might want to check out in our education library. So now let's just take a brief moment to remind everyone about something to keep in mind as far as our safety moment. We're all living in a little bit of a different world, and we are finding ourselves at home working a little bit more often on our laptops than we're used to. Most of us, in fact, are using our laptops as a primary device for working every day. One thing that I wasn't aware of and that was brought to my attention recently was that these devices are really meant to be more mobile for use in things like airports or during meetings, not necessarily for prolonged use. This means that most of us have been leaving our laptops plugged in all day, which can be potentially unsafe. Some tips to keep in mind. Avoid letting your laptop overheat, which is a true concern. If you can see that stat there in the left, there's definitely been over 25,000 overheating and fire incidents just due to laptops in the past 5 years. You might want to adjust the placement of your laptop throughout the day to allow venting and allow the machine to cool down a bit. You also should know some symptoms of overheating, such as if you hear the fan running nonstop, you might want to give your machine a chance to rest, for example, during lunch or things like that. Most computers will shut down in extreme overheating, but you want to avoid this because it can cause real damage to the internal components or even begin to swell or warp your machine. One way to do that is to unplug your laptop and allow that battery to rest and actually power down all the way to the end of its life. One thing I've started doing is at night, once I'm done completing my work, I will unplug my laptop and let the battery run down naturally throughout the evening and then power it back up in the morning. So that's just some things to keep in mind to keep your laptop safe and to avoid those unsafe events. So now I want to give you a brief introduction of our speaker for today. We're excited to have the CEO of O3 Solutions and our resident AWP evangelist here at O3. He also serves as the co-chair for the Construction Industry Institute's AWP Benchmarking and Performance Subcommittee, as well as part of the Technology Committee, also known as FIATech within CII. He's a former SVP for Product and Market Strategy for Materials Management and RFID Software, and he holds 12 technology patents. He also has a BSc in Mechanical Engineering. Thank you so much for joining us today, Josh, and sharing how our clients are using technology and our solutions to assist in implementing advanced work packaging. At this time, I'll turn the presentation over to you.
Thanks, Mandy. So starting out today, I want to give just a brief introduction on O3. O3 is a modern SaaS platform that's purpose-built around advanced work packaging and agile best practices. And we're specifically focused on the industrial construction industry for folks that want to improve productivity, safety, quality, and predictability. A little look at some of our example experience. O3's client base is roughly 50-50 split between both owners and EPCs. So we work with large owners who run programs of small cap projects, and we also work with EPCs who work on very large projects. So one of the things to keep in mind is that advanced work packaging works both on small cap projects. So we have portfolios with projects as small as $100,000 in TIC, all the way up to giga projects and $70 billion in TIC and everything in between. So advanced work packaging and agile methodologies, as well as O3, are extremely scalable up to very large and small projects. And just to level set a little bit about the solution set that O3 offers, we have a comprehensive work package management solution that covers the entire project lifecycle from concept through commissioning. And this is all built on top of a core O3 platform. One thing to keep in mind when you think about the O3 platform is this is not a platform that was developed by acquiring a bunch of different solutions and then meshing them together to try to make a complete solution. O3 was built from the very beginning to be a platform to cover the entire project lifecycle. So while the solution does cover the different phases of the project, those aren't separate systems that were acquired and then integrated together to give a clunky user experience. This is something that was built from the very beginning to cover the entire project lifecycle. So on top of the O3 platform, we have our on-course solution, which is focused on training and education management, both for use of the O3 tool, but then also for advanced work packaging and work phase planning training to help you drive change management on your projects. Above that, we have the on-target solution, which is our task management and project management solution that allows people who are not yet fully mature into AWP to begin the digitization journey and start to remove spreadsheets and leverage a purpose-built tool. And then we have a set of tools that are designed specifically for each phase of the project: on plan for the early planning phases of the project, on design for the detailed design and engineering procurement phases of the project, on build, which is focused on the construction phase of the project, and then on start, which is focused specifically on the commissioning and startup phase of the project. And then we have a set of mobile tools that extend that functionality out into the field, as well as help with time on tools measurement and safety observations in the field. So as you can see, it is a comprehensive work package management solution that goes across the entire life cycle of a project from concept through commissioning. So now that we've talked a little bit about O3, I want to talk a little bit about how we see the market today. And when we look at the market in terms of the work packaging solutions available, there's kind of three buckets. The first is what we call the legacy providers. So these are folks that have been in the business for a while. These solutions tend to be kind of 20-year-old type tools. They tend to be thick clients. They don't offer a SaaS solution. It's on-premise. The user interface is a clunky, older kind of 1990s style interface. And there are a number of solution providers out there that fit into this category of kind of the antiquated solution providers. And then there's another bucket of the folks we do everything to everyone. So they're not purpose built around work packaging. They say they support Agile. They say they support Last Planner or BIM or Lean or AWP or work phase planning. So they have a sticker for every kind of methodology, and they try to kind of position themselves as being able to support all of those, but they're really not purpose built around work package management, around a specific methodology like advanced work packaging or Agile. And then we have a third bucket, which is the unproven startups that have emerged recently to try to bring a work phase planning or advanced work packaging or work package management solution to market. And the challenge with these guys is they really just aren't battle tested. They don't have that feedback from the field of the continuous improvement to have a solution that really is kind of useful and proven and ready for prime time use. So O3 is different. And why are we different? Well, first, we don't have this legacy tech debt. We're a modern tool. We're SaaS from the beginning. We're mobile and native mobile from the beginning. We have a modern user interface. So we're not beholden to this kind of older on-premise antiquated approach to software development. And then secondly, we're purpose built for advanced work packaging and agile methodologies. This isn't something where we said, hey, there's this new methodology out, so we're going to slap a sticker on and say we do that too. This is from the very beginning, we architected this solution specifically around advanced work packaging and agile best practices, and those are built into the tool from the ground up. And in fact, we've gone beyond what CII has recognized as the kind of core advanced work packaging concepts, and we've extended that. Out of the box, O3 offers 10 different work package types, well beyond what other solutions have. Commonly you'll see they have a construction work package and an installation work package and maybe an engineering work package, so kind of 3 work package types. O3 out of the box has 10 because we really understand the use of advanced work packaging across the entire life cycle of the project. And then lastly, O3 is a modern tool, but it wasn't born yesterday. This is a tool that's battle tested in the field. We have over 10,000 users on 200 plus projects globally. We have a 58 net promoter score, and those of you who are familiar with that, that's extremely high for a software tool, and 92% customer satisfaction. So this tool is something that has been used by lots of people and lots of companies, and we've got lots of feedback into it. And I think the important point to take away here is that we're agile ourselves. So unlike the kind of antiquated software providers that do 1 release every year or 2 years, O3 does a production release every 2 weeks. That means 26 production releases per year that is based on feedback from the field. So we are constantly, continuously improving our own tool. We are agile ourselves in the way that we execute and develop our software. In addition to being agile, we are AWP. From the very beginning, we have been focused on advanced work packaging, and we're purpose-built to support that across the entire life cycle. And what we're excited to announce and recently have announced about our solution is the addition of the graphical work packaging component. So O3 has been the leader in the space around work package management, around non-graphical work package scoping, around constraint management for years. But our solution was used in conjunction with some other tools to do the graphical component, and then O3 would be the work package management solution and engine that would manage all of the packages through their life cycle. Now with the addition of this graphical work packaging scoping component to the tool, now O3 is a full, true solution for work package management across the entire project lifecycle. There's no need for having separate tools to try to piece together a solution. The O3 solution now has all of those components together. And what are those components? A complete work packaging solution offers graphical scoping, so it's leveraging the 3D virtual construction model for graphical work package development and visualization. The non-graphical scoping component, so it's important to know that there's disciplines and situations where you don't have a model that supports automation and graphical scoping, and so you have to have the ability to build those packages. You don't want some packages in a tool and some over in an Excel spreadsheet. And then constraint management. The term constraint management, O3 has been synonymous with constraint management for years. It's the world's most robust constraint management solution. It's been designed specifically for this industry. It's not a constraint checklist or constraint identification like you find in other tools. It's true management of those constraints through a process and a workflow and statusing and approvals and alerts and notifications. And then we also offer workflows and automation for the packages themselves. So O3 is not just about creating a package and then printing a PDF and handing it out into the field. It's about being able to manage that package through a process, a workflow, approvals, statusing, progress tracking, and more. And then field mobility. By extending that out into the field, you can eliminate some of that paper process. You can get better data collection in the field around safety and time on tools, and just extend the information out into the decision makers in the field. And then lastly, we have incorporated and built into the tool dashboards that are built around every stakeholder view. And the important thing here is a lot of people think, well, I take my data from systems and I put it in a data lake, and then I've got Power BI so that I can visualize that information. That's great, But what you need in a true and complete work packaging solution is the ability to visualize that data and then immediately take action. And that's what O3 offers. By having those dashboards built into the tool, then I can drill down, I can see an issue, I can immediately assign it to someone, and I can take action. O3 is an action-oriented tool. So now I'm going to take a step back and talk a little bit about the process. When you think about the traditional process for work package management, here I'm going to be talking specifically about installation work packages, but I want you to remember that O3 offers 10 work package types out of the box, and all of this functionality is available for all of those work package types. So O3 is not just a workplace planning tool, but it's a true advanced work packaging tool across the entire lifecycle of the project. But if you think about an installation work package, typically you initialize that from a parent construction work package, and then you scope that package. There may be some disciplines like pipe and steel where you're leveraging the virtual construction model, and then maybe you're doing it more manually or non-graphically using drawings for other disciplines. And then you sequence that work based off of the path of construction. Then you have to identify constraints, often on a spreadsheet. Then you manage those manually through emails and phone calls and text messages. Then there's an approval process, which is often a manual or paper-based process for approving that package. Then you print a PDF of that package and hand it to a foreman to go execute in the field. They capture some information on that PDF about progress, and then that's manual paper is brought back in and entered into a database to capture that progress tracking. And when you think about that, that's a pretty complicated and manual process for a single package. If you then multiply that by hundreds of packages across teams and disciplines and work areas, it becomes extremely complex. And that's one of the reasons why you've seen advanced work packaging historically has been reserved for larger projects. And a lot of organizations haven't been successful in scaling it down to small cap projects. But O3 is different. O3 provides a comprehensive solution for true work package management based on a modern process that allows you to remove a lot of that complexity and allows you to scale it down even to small projects as well as on the world's largest projects. So how does that modern process look? Well, when we describe this process, we like to think about it in terms of the continuous improvement methodology of plan, do, check, act. And if you are striving to have a world-class project execution, then you are focused on continuous improvement and not the continuous improvement of a lessons learned document after the project's done that's put on a shelf and never used, but true continuous improvement throughout the life of the project. So we're going to walk through how that works inside of O3 and how O3 handles the process of initializing and scoping and sequencing and managing constraints, approving packages, making them available in the field, and then capturing that progress. So if we start first in the plan phase of the plan, do, check, act, when we think about planning, true planning starts before packaging and goes beyond pipe and steel. So when we talk about planning, we're talking about in the very beginning of the project, we talk about project templates, the AWP master index, development steps, work package scoping with or without a 3D model, and sequencing and scheduling. So these are the components of planning. And starting first with project templates. Project templates are key because they allow you to standardize your approach to AWP and workplace planning across different project types. And this is a critical component to allowing you to scale AWP down, particularly to small projects, because you want to remove the cost and the effort associated with all the configuring of the tool. O3 allows you to capture all those configurations, save it as a template, and then you can immediately spin up a project. So we have lots of clients where O3 is not involved at all in the process of standing up a new project. They can do it all on their own by leveraging project templates. The next key component is what we call the AWP master index. And this is about replacing your spreadsheets with purpose-built software for managing the AWP coding structure and this master index. A lot of folks are trying to manage advanced work packaging and work package relationships across all these work package types and disciplines and organizations using a spreadsheet. And it's really, really difficult to do. O3, this is one of the things that immediately O3 replaces on projects and within organizations because it was purpose built around this AWP master index. It's actually a term that O3 coined around this concept. So we replace that spreadsheet and manage all of those relationships and make that easy for people to understand and leverage. And the next step is what we call the development steps. And this is about defining, managing, tracking, and progressing the package planning process itself. So O3 is so focused on planning that we actually have a process for measuring the package development, and we created a concept called development steps. If you're familiar with the concept of work steps for tracking progress in the field, this is very similar, but it's about tracking the progress of the package development itself, the scoping process, the materials and resourcing process, the scheduling process, the constraint management process. It allows you to create the plan for those steps and actually assign those out. And then you can actually track the estimated and earned value against that process. It allows you to understand if you have enough planners involved in the process, allows you to forecast the need for planners. So this is taking planning to the next level for people who are really serious about planning. And then of course, you have to scope those packages. And the thing that's great about O3's approach to this is, do you have a big model? Do you have lots of different engineering authoring tools? Do you have no model? It doesn't matter. With O3, we have the ability to consume any model type. We can handle extremely large models. And we even have the ability, as we've been doing for years, for the non-graphical scoping component. So if you have no model or the model's not sufficiently attributed to support work package scoping, that's not an issue. O3 supports all of those different scenarios for developing packages, leveraging both the model and doing it in a non-graphical format. And then the next step and last step in the planning process is the sequencing and scheduling. One of the things that O3 does really well is it integrates with P6. So we tend to consume the level 1 through 3 schedule, which is done in more of a waterfall scheduling approach. And then O3 takes over the process of sequencing that data for the levels 4 through 6, and then can share that information back to P6 or other scheduling tools. I think the key piece here is that if you are using schedulers to define the package process and timing of those packages, then you're not following true advanced work packaging principles. You really want to move this to planners. So you want to have a sequencing process done by planners and not a rigid waterfall scheduling process. And O3 facilitates that ability to consume that higher level schedule from the P6 and then sequence and use a more planning driven as opposed to scheduling driven process for those lower level activities. So we talked through the planning process of the plan, do, check, act, continuous improvement methodology. Now we're going to move in and talk about the doing. So from a doing perspective, true work package management has to be powered by action. If you have a tool that just allows you to scope a package and then all the actual action happens outside of that in other tools or spreadsheets or emails or phone calls, you don't have visibility, you don't have accountability, you don't have the measurability, and you can't improve. So when we talk about doing, we're talking about status management, constraint management, approval management, progress management, and then agile management of tasks for teams and individuals leveraging Kanban boards. So what do we mean by status management and automation? This is about the configurable package workflows and automated statusing based on activity. So with O3, we have default sets of what we recommend for different workflows for the various package types, not limited again to installation work packages, again, 10 work package types. We have these default package workflows that we recommend, but they're extremely configurable inside the tool to match to your process. And then you can configure automation so that as certain preconditions are met, it automatically statuses and you automatically get credit and reporting against that flow of the package. So again, it's about removing that manual effort and driving the doing of the process. On the constraint management side, O3 is by far the most comprehensive constraint management solution on the market. We've been doing this for a very long time. O3 is synonymous with constraint management, an area that we've pioneered. And we've driven this away from being a checklist to being true management of those constraints. A constraint is an entity within the solution. It's not just a checkbox. It's something that can be assigned. It can be given a due date, a forecast. You can have approvals and workflows and statuses against that. And so that sounds like, well, maybe that's complicated. Well, the key here is, yeah, it has all this power and ability and flexibility, but it also has automation, so you're not creating a lot of work for your team. It allows you to put automation in place so that you can remove as much of the manual process as possible, but it has that detail so that you can truly understand where you are and you can drive action and proactively remove constraints before they impact productivity. Similarly to the constraint management is approval management and automation within the tool. The approvals very similar in how they're extremely configurable for the various types of packages. They can be configured not only against they can be configured with different options, not only across different package types, but for different disciplines or different purposes for those packages. And then there's an extreme amount of automation built into that, and it's tied into the statusing as well. So that approval can be a trigger event to move a package to another status. And then those approvals are actions inside the system. So it's not something like, hey, I just need to go in and check a box for an approval. Much like a constraint, it's a true entity that can be assigned. There's alerts, notifications, and reporting against that. So again, O3 is all about driving you to the doing. It's not a system that sits back and lets you capture what you did. It's a system that taps you on the shoulder and tells you what you need to do and helps you and facilitates that process, and then reports back and gives you information on how you did. That process, again, has the ability to set up those that automation and configuration to drive through. Similarly, we have progress management and automation. Within the progress management and tracking process, we leverage rules of credit, which you're familiar with, earned value, rates of placement, and reporting, and that's across every type of discipline within the tool. This isn't limited just to installation, so while we have default options for every type of discipline that extends also beyond the installation process, and we have rules of credit for engineering as an example, and rules of credit for procurement and other areas within the project lifecycle. And it comes with a default set of these, but again, this is something that we can configure to match what your system or your approach or methodology leverages, and then that gets saved as a project template, and now every time you spin up a project, it follows that same process. So it's a configure once, and you can use it across your entire project portfolio. So all of these things that we've talked about, these approvals, these constraints, this status process, all of these things are actions inside the tool that can be assigned to people. Well, if you have actions, then you need to have an ability to manage some of those tasks and actions within the tool. And that's where O3's Agile Task and Team Management comes in. This replaces spreadsheets and emails and text messages that are typically leveraged for task management with a centralized Agile action management tool, which you can view in a card view or Kanban, that can be viewed in list view, can be viewed in a Gantt view. There's a lot of different views you can take for that information, but it allows you to manage a team and all of those tasks and actions in an extremely efficient way. Get rid of the spreadsheets and lost actions and falling behind that results from a poor, disparate system for measuring tasks, and use a centralized system that can be leveraged across everyone on the project. O3 isn't limited just to the owner, or to the EPC, or to the contractor. All the stakeholders on the project can have access to that. We have projects where we have over 3,500 users on a single project, and that provides this ability to have shared collaborative action management, which provides this positive accountability and leads to extreme increases in productivity. So we talked through the plan and the do process and the plan, do, check, act. Now we're moving into the check. When you think about a check process, you need to leverage reporting, and it needs to be action-oriented reporting. So the checking is about understanding and reporting and seeing where you are and the impact of the actions that you've taken. And we do that in a couple of different ways: status visualization, dashboard reporting, leading indicators and prescriptive analytics, and cross-project reporting. Status visualization is graphical visualization of the status and progress and availability across the 10 work package types inside the tool. So again, not limited just installation work packages, that's a common use case, but all of the work packages inside of O3 can be visualized, and you can see that from a constraint perspective, a progress perspective, a status perspective, availability of individual components perspective. So very powerful 3D visualization and reporting inside of the application. That's combined with dashboard reporting. And the key here is it's simple yet powerful, configurable dashboards that inform decision-making for all the stakeholders. And the idea is that you don't need to understand a query language. You don't need to know how to code. You don't have to be a Power BI expert to be able to build your own dashboards within the tool. It's actually really elegant and simple to be able to build those dashboards. And then the dashboards are also, it comes with a set of default dashboards by role. So if I'm a construction manager, there's a default construction manager dashboard. If I'm a workface planner, there's a default workface planner dashboard. And those dashboards then can also be saved. They can be shared between teams and users. So it's meant to make it really easy for people, even those that aren't really experienced in using computer programs to be able to get to the information that they need. And again, this is all about being able to drive down to action. So if you have a Power BI tool or some other reporting, that's great. But where that breaks down is it's not connected to your action. Here, now, if I see something that's red, I can drill down, I can see the details, and then I can immediately assign a task for someone to deal with that. I can assign that entity to someone. I can solve the problem in real time. The next important piece on the check side is the leading indicators and prescriptive analytics. One of the challenges with our industry is that most of our reporting is rear facing. Right, so we think about things like quantities and S-curves, and these are powerful visualizations of the status of the project, but they are rear-facing. They tell you that you made errors months ago. They don't help you to understand where you're going to be in the future, and they don't prescribe a solution to help you get the course correction in place to get the project back on track. O3 takes a different approach to that. We, in addition to the kind of standard reporting that you'd expect from a project controls perspective, we also have these leading indicators that allow you to measure the process. We measure the health of the planning process. We measure the health of the advanced work packaging process, and then we automatically prescribe solutions on how to improve that. So if you have a challenge in constraint management or a challenge in another area, you automatically get prescribed solutions to those problems. And again, then driving action. It gets back to the driving to that action to adjust and continuously improve. And then another piece that's important if you want to have a modern approach and to work package management is you need to have cross-project reporting. So these antiquated tools that offer an on-premise solution don't have the ability to do this multi-project reporting. O3 being a modern SaaS application allows you to maintain all of your entire portfolio or program of projects for an entire enterprise inside of this single application, and then you can report across those, either looking at it from a operating asset perspective or a program or the entire global portfolio. You can report across these different aspects because as a SaaS application, all of that data lives in one place. And if you have the appropriate permissions, you can jump across projects and look at different things. So it's important that your tool, to be modern, offer this cross-project reporting, because without that, it's difficult to drive continuous improvement. If you can't see reporting across a large data set, it's very difficult to drive that continuous improvement. So now we've been through the plan, do, check, and we're coming to the act phase of the plan, do, check, act methodology. A lot of times people will refer to act as adjust. That's another way of thinking about the act in the plan, do, check, act continuous improvement methodology. But if you want to continuously improve, you have to act and adjust your process. You can't keep doing the same thing and expect things to get better. And there's a couple of things that we leverage to help kind of drive that adjustment process: alerts and notifications, the My Watcher view, proactive risk management and automation, team goals and prescriptive action plans, and then training corrective actions. So when we think about alerts and notifications, this is something that allows you to remain informed on all the actions and tasks, so you can have all this pushed to you. This is a really powerful tool that covers the entire life cycle of the project and manages all of the actions for everyone, replaces all these spreadsheets. And so you need to have that information pushed to you, and it needs to be tailored to what's important to you. So you as an individual have the ability to control what information is pushed to you, what frequency you receive it, both in-app notifications as well as being pushed outside of the app via email or other methods. And that's really important if you want to be able to make the adjustments. You have to remain informed. And another way that we help people to remain informed is with our proactive watcher view. So this is the ability to sign up to watch specific entities inside the tool. In this case, it could be an installation work package, but it could be anything. It could be a piece of mechanical equipment, a purchase order, a vendor data deliverable that you care about. But anything that you care about, you can sign up to say, hey, I want to know anything that happens to that. If there's information that's added, if it's status, if it changes, if people edit that, I want to have that information pushed to me. And that allows me to remain informed again so that I can adjust and improve my process. Proactive risk management and automation. This is really important. So many projects think about risk as a stage gate activity, where I go in and I assess the risks for that stage gate, and then I put that on I put that in a binder and put it on a shelf, and I forget about it. So it's not actually used as a tool to drive activity to adjust how the project acts. O3 thinks about that differently. Risk needs to be proactively managed. You need to leverage automation to make it something that you use throughout the project. So we move people off of spreadsheets or other simplistic tools, and they leverage the risk identification and continuous collaborative process inside of O3. So I can identify those risks. I can assign them to individuals to deal with. I have a bow tie model built in so that if that risk actually becomes an issue, automatically the mitigation steps become actions. Those actions are automatically assigned to the people that need to take action. So it's, again, driving that action so that we can ensure that risks are something and issues are something that we're using to improve the project outcomes, not something that we're using as a check the box at a stage gate checklist process. Team goals and prescriptive action plans. This is really exciting stuff. We have clients who have transformation teams on their projects. They're focused on being world-class projects across different areas, which might include things like advanced work packaging or digitization, or they may have a focus around reducing their scaffolding costs, or whatever those goals are that you have for the project. You can capture those goals, and then you have measurements inside the tool that can automatically measure whether or not those goals are being achieved. They give you a predictive look as to whether or not you're going to meet those goals. And then prescriptive action plans can either be automated or built out manually inside the tool so that you can have a plan and activities and assignments for what people need to do in order to course correct and ensure that you meet that goal for the project. So we have a lot of clients who use this at a large scale as sort of the overall major goals for the project. But then we also have small teams that use this. So within my workplace planning team, we have some goals for this project, and it allows you to think about this as putting together a plan of continuous improvement for your team. Here's what we want to achieve. This is what right looks like. Here's how we're going to measure it. Then I get that information about how we're doing, and then I get an action plan to make sure that I can course correct and get the outcomes that we desire. And when we talk about those corrective actions and ensuring that you have the ability to improve, training corrective actions are a key component to that. When you identify an issue, that's only the beginning. You need to drive action to resolution. You need to make adjustments so that you can improve how the project is executing. And one of the things that O3 allows you to do is to manage the training process. So you can build out course titles, you can build out lesson plans, you can build out the scheduling of those courses, you can make learning paths, you can track certifications. And a lot of people say, well, I have a learning management system for my company, why do I need this? Well, what we found was that every company has some kind of learning management system, but when you get to a project, it's not one company running that project. You have an owner, you have EPCs, you have contractors, and they all have their own systems, but they don't have access to each other's systems. So we were seeing all of this training and certification being tracked in Excel. Now that's done directly inside of the tool, again, because O3 is a collaborative SaaS environment that's shared across the owners and EPCs and all the contractors. Now all those people can go to one place, and you can have a single system that captures all of that information and tracks all of that training across all those different organizations and stakeholders. And when you have an issue, so let's say, for example, I have a constraint management process problem, you can, as a prescriptive action, you can assign additional training to the individual that's having a challenge in that area. So you can leverage training as an adjustment process, as an improvement process, as a corrective action. And then we also leverage that training data to help you be predictive about whether you're going to have challenges. So we know how many workplace planners you have, we know how many workplace planners are in training, and we know how many workplace planners you're going to need based off of the path of construction and sequencing plan, and we can predictively alert you to a challenge in the future and drive you to adjust and increase your workplace planning training prior to that impacting productivity in the field. So if we look at a summary of our traditional process of plan, do, check, act versus a modern process, traditional process uses spreadsheets and manual drawings and a virtual construction model for some disciplines, but not others. Doing is emails and phone calls and sticky notes and spreadsheets, and then checking is these disconnected access databases or Power BI views, and then action is done with Excel or lessons learned documents and binders that are placed on a shelf and never used. O3 says this should all be digitized. We need to be in a data-centric digital environment. So the planning process is leveraging the ability to scope packages both graphically and non-graphically, measure that planning with development steps. The doing is all about the action. So now we have the ability to assign all these activities to people. We can move packages through a real workflow. All of the constraints and statuses and approvals and all of that is assignable within the application. Checking leverages both the status visualization as well as the embedded dashboarding capabilities. And again, those dashboards are about driving you to action, so I can drill down on a red square. I can understand what the problem is at the source data, and then I can assign an action for someone to immediately begin resolving that issue. And then action, leveraging those team goals, leveraging those action plans, leveraging that proactive risk management to adjust and drive that action of continuous improvement process. So summarizing with the benefits that we talked about today, eliminating manual errors. So taking paper and Excel and all these other disparate antiquated tools out of the process and leveraging a single platform that's connected from end to end across concept through commissioning, scaling to fit any project need. AWP can be scaled down to small projects. We have hundreds of projects that are using advanced work packaging that go as small as $100,000 in TIC. So if someone's telling you that AWP doesn't scale, that's incorrect. It's that they haven't scaled it successfully. But both O3 and AWP scale to small projects as well as up to giga projects of $70 billion in TIC. We have the ability to manage all of those package types. So 10 work package types in a single tool, managing the entire work package management process from concept through commissioning across all disciplines, across all contractors, across all stakeholders on the project. The ability to collaborate across teams because you have this central action management tool. Now everyone can access that. We have positive accountability where you can understand and see where everyone is. You have shared data. So rather than holding your data back and squirreling it away and fighting, instead you're collaborating and sharing and you're working towards a better project outcome. And that comes from that increased visibility and accountability that you get with that shared data set and the built-in reporting and the same view of that information. And now all that allows us to get to a more accurate progressing and statusing of the project. So instead of using these rear-facing indicators, now we have predictive looks that allow us to understand the true state of that project, so you can proactively course correct and take action to adjust your process and adjust your project execution so that you can achieve those positive outcomes. So rather than waiting to the end of the project and finding out it was a terrible project, now you can see, oh, something's getting off track. Here's what I need to resolve that, course correct. Okay, now I'm back on track, and you can keep doing that, continuously improving throughout the entire life cycle of the project. So a key takeaway here, you guys, we've got a must-have checklist that helps you understand the things that you want to see in a work packaging solution. So if you want to have a modern work packaging solution, there's a checklist that you should check out. We've got it on our website. You can download that. It's www.o3.solutions. You can grab that checklist and you can leverage that. And when you're building out your RFPs or when you're evaluating solutions, really recommend that you go in understanding what right looks like, and this must-haves checklist will really help with that process. So with that, Mandy, I'd like to turn it back over and see if we have any questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, great, Josh. Thanks so much. That was a really informative and exciting presentation. It's always great to hear your passion and evangelism around the topic, for sure. You gave us a great overview of how some of the innovative companies we're working with are introducing and improving their advanced work packaging program. So you can get in touch with us at any time to learn more. You can see the email and web address on the screen. But at this time, we're really hoping that you want to keep that conversation going. We want to invite you over to our website, which is www.o3.solutions. And remember, there is no .com there, so take a look at that address on the screen. And we are going to jump in and have a kind of Ask Me Anything with Josh. You can go over to the website. You're going to see a little bubble down at the bottom right of the screen, a chat bubble. click on that, and Josh is going to be there for the next hour or so to answer any questions or dive deeper into any other information that you might want to have. We really thank you for joining us today. We know your time is valuable. We hope you found this presentation engaging and educational. So head on over to o3.solutions to keep this conversation going. Thanks again, Josh, and we'll talk to you on the other side.
Thank you.